Hello everyone, hello world. This video is very special because I will show you multiple ways that you can do an hello world. So what's an hello world? When you learn programming, you will learn that there is a first step in every programming language that you should take to familiarize yourself with the programming language. So the step is just to display hello world. Mostly it's in the terminal so that you have a way to debug and print feedback when your application is running. So without further ado, I just made an hello world. Yeah, it's in the sumo file and to the hello world folder. Clear. There we are. Okay. So I have all these hello worlds for us to see, but I forgot what most of them are, so let's just experiment and see. Yeah, I should have planned this better ahead so that I had like, but basically you have like the baby hello world, which is this one on top right here. I cannot zoom because this is text, but yeah, basically the baby hello world is printf between quotation mark hello world, and I think people used to add like the exclamation mark at the end for some reason because they're very excited to say hello world. And now you have like the noob version, which is a little bit better than being a baby. You're a noob. You're starting. So you know a little bit more about what you're doing. So you're using the new line symbol right here. So then you have like the baby plus plus, which use like the more C++ way of doing things. It's a little bit better, I guess, but yeah, it's for C++. You use C out, but again, you're a baby because you forgot the end of line, which in C++ is like this, end of line. So I think you can still use the \n, but I'm not sure. So let's just stick with this. And finally, let's go see the other hello world that I have made. So I have some compiler right here, so I'm just gonna compile the where's the compiler for the GTK one? I don't think I made one. No, I have it. It's just not executable. So compile GTK, and let's try that. Compile GTK.sh. There you go. So we just compiled the hello world. So if I start hello, you have a hello world with GTK. So what's the GTK? GTK is for basically if you're using a GTK based system like me. I'm using Ubuntu, which is Debian based, and Debian used GTK for its main application and software. It's a way to display graphical interface. So let's just take a look at the code. GTK hello world. That's the code. Am I gonna explain what it does? You have the comments. So it initializes the GTK, create the main window right here, then create the label with the text hello world, add the label to the window, show the window, and enter the main GTK event loop, and then exit the program. So it's kind of simple. It's a hello world. It does what it's supposed to do, and yeah, that's with GTK. So what's the next step? What's the next step? Let's just take a look at, if I look at the, I think I have one for Fortran, which would be, not 4chan, but Fortran, the programming language, which is hello world.f. There you go. So this is in Fortran, if you care to know like how you would do that in an antique programming language. And finally, the star of the show, I'm gonna compile another hello world. Like, what's this one do? Like, is it the hello world in Fortran? Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the hello world in Fortran, but I'm not sure. Let's try to compile the asm.sh, which is the assembly code. And since we don't have a new file that was created, I will assume that this was the assembly one and not the Fortran one. So let's take a look at the assembly code because I took the time to make one in assembly. This deserves respect. So respect me, okay? I made this in assembly to gain your respect, just because I wanted to show you like this is expert mode. This is the most complex hello world, like which is just a basic hello world in the terminal that you're gonna see. It's the most direct hello world. What you're doing is like you're creating this data, which is a hello world, and at the end you have like the new line symbol, using hexadecimal, I think. And now you write the message to std out with all this, like this part, this entire part, just write the message to std out. And the way you do that is, first of all, you tell it that you're gonna write something. Then the descriptor for std out, you tell it where you want to write it, basically. Then your address of the address of the message is basically telling it that hello, which is the data that we created on top, like we will point to this, and it has a length of 14, which should not be hard coded. There's a way to get the length of hello instead of using this hard coded method, but it works. And you call the kernel like this, exit the program with all this. So yeah, that's assembly. Yes, my brain is not that good at comprehending every small bits of assembly right here, but most of it I understood. I'm not ever doing that again. Like, that's the most assembly programming that I probably do in my life. I don't like coding in assembly for multiple reasons. And let's take a look at the compiler for assembly, shall we? Why am I taking a Russian accent? I have no idea, and I hope this isn't disrespecting to the Russian viewer that I have. I just very like the Russian accent, okay? And I don't even think it's Russian, my accent that I'm doing right now. I think it's there's other similar accent from this part of the world, and I just like to speak like this. It sounds like the villain in John Wick. So yeah, it's more like I'm literally trying to do the villain and John Wick accent, not the Russian accent. So that's more a parody of that. So that's the compiler, and the thing that's important to remember is that you need to keep in mind the system that you're building assembly for. Because depending on that, the compiling process is different, but I'm using ELF64 if you cared to know about that. There's other system that you can build assembly for, and it's system specific. So keep that in mind when coding assembly. So we have other hello world. Let's take a look at them. Like if I just do hello, this should open every single file. The 13 file have been opened. And it will also have opened the programs files, which are unreadable, but who cares? So this is the GTK code. It's a complex code. Like, this is like when you start having visual code, it's complex. It's complex, all right? This is, I think, again GTK, but this one is different. Yeah, so this one, I think I coded it so that you add a button that when you clicked it, it will print hello world in the terminal. But I wanted to be a little bit different, so I just like displayed hello world in the graphical window instead. It's simpler, it's clearer, so people understand that better. And yeah, now I'll take a look at this is just code. I don't need that. This is yeah, this is the baby version, like, of hello world. Like I said, you can just add endl, and I don't have to type std in front of it because I have using namespace std on top. Okay, that's how it works. Exclamation mark, and it works. I don't have to compile it. This is hello world number 2 using printf, and again, this is like baby step because we're not using the end of line, which you should always if you're not a noob. Okay, so like again, same project, same like thing that I have 2 versions of for some reason. Now we have the assembly code that we just looked at, a bunch of program, the Fortran one. This is using SDL for real. Yeah, for real. Do I have a compiler for the SDL one? I just want to compile the SDL one. And I'm not even sure if that will work because I think the SDL one I used yeah, you have like image SDL, that's using an image, but that's not what we want. We want to compile this one, and yeah, I don't have a compiler for it. I should, but I don't. Um, but I remember I did compile it in the past, but now it's uncompiled and I don't remember the exact command to compile it. So let's just, it's not gonna work, is it? Like gpp gcc cpp gpp sdl hello.cpp, and that's where I'm confused on how I include the SDL library. I forgot. You see, that's why you should always make compiler script like these. Okay, like if I take a look at the compile GTK one, it's a one-line script. It's easy. You don't need to make a make file. You don't need to create a make file for this. Yeah, so I'm not gonna compile the SDL one, but it works similarly to the GTK one. It opens a window and it displays. I can take a look at the code though. SDL, hello, that's CPP. That's the code. That's a hello world and SDL. There's a lot. There's a lot. And no, this version, I remember it wasn't working because of. I'm just looking for the line of code that was not working. Basically, the TTF font cannot be null. You have to set a font, and the font usually needs to be like locally in the directory. And I tried to avoid that, but you can't. You can't. You need a font, and I didn't want to provide one, so that's the result that we got. This is the end of this video, folks. In conclusion, the simplest hello world that I know of that I like the most is basically using echo, because you can just like type hello world and it already adds the end of line at the end, so you don't need to add it. So it's perfect. It's the perfect hello world. I forgot the exclamation mark. Okay, let's just clear the screen. Okay, hello world. No, the way I want to do it is like clear the screen, then hello world. There you go. That's a little bit better, I guess. And you could, like, if you want to add ends of line, like you could probably just give it the I think it's the n argument. No, it's not. So if you want to add end of line, you're gonna have to. Am I going to hit the right key at some point? So E. No. Okay. Let's try again. Let's try again. I am going to be able to make this work. N. No. And I think the reason why this isn't working is because we have like an exclamation sign before the backslash. And that's very, very, very annoying because I want this right here. And so one thing I could try to do is just this. No. I just want to have this working. So let's just remove the exclamation mark. That's or let's just break the exclamation mark actually. That should probably work. No, it's not working like it's supposed to. And that's probably because of this. Now we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere, but why do we see this? No, it's not working. It's still not working like this. I don't want the backslash before the exclamation mark. It's just there as a way to nullify it, but it's not working. /n/n. What I could do is say x equal exclamation mark and use the variable x right here. It works! So you can solve that using a variable. You can do that. That's cool, I guess. And like, if you want like true immersion, one to many, yeah, I like it. It's nice. Also, I'm gonna show you the cool retro terminal current config that I have, which is this one. and it looks nice. It looks like cyberpunk. So if I do a neo fetch, um, yeah, that's my wallpaper. Very pixelated, and you have like the color palette. And yeah, it's a bit pink, but you can't avoid it. Yeah, I would prefer it if like you could select like a main color and the rest of the color would be the same as on the system instead of tainting them. But it works. At the end of the day, it gets the job done. Um, so yeah, if I go into my compile like hello world nano and take a look at some code like all that CPP, that's a good way to just look at this CPP code. It's okay, but the blue, you can't see the blue. That's bad. That's something I don't like. Using like colorized version of the cool retro terminal, but it's cool. So that's why I have it, and that's why I still use it sometime for stuff like that. Also, you could get lines across the screen. I'm not sure how they called. They're called setting terminal scan lines, but then you won't be able to get the font that you want, and that's why like this font is too small, unreadable. I'm gonna try to have like a terminal, KDE terminal with a font that is from Atari, but that's for another day. That's another day, another project. Yeah, have a good day. Bye bye. See you later. Like, subscribe. And why am I so down for the end of this video? Because it took a lot of energy to make. Kind of, yeah. I had to code an assembly, so I hope you appreciate it.